So, I had an unboxing video that I was going to do, and unfortunately, the recording that I did ended up being corrupted. So, now I have to redo it. And I hate working on my phone because my phone does some really stupid and weird things. And it's kind of like, it's like reached that point where it's like the supposed better phones get the worse they seem to work. And it bothers me so much. But anyway, I saw this kind of making its rounds of people doing videos. And when I first saw it, I just kind of chuckled to myself because, like, it's like when the left eats their own. And that's literally all that this just is. It's just the left eating its own because you have, Stephen King, who's a noted leftist. You have J.K. Rowling, who's a noted leftist, and they walk that line with the crazies of the left, and then inevitably they cross that line because, well, they end up saying something that always makes sense to everyone else, but you were walking with the crazies. And so, like, the idea that he would get in trouble for saying, I would never consider diversity in matters of art. Of course he would get in trouble for it. Because, well, they say it's because he's a straight white male, but it's not just that. Because even if I said it, because let's be honest, I don't consider diversity in matters of art. I don't buy things just because it's written by a black person. I don't buy things just because it's written by a woman. I don't go to see movies based on who are the people involved. I've said in a previous video, I kind of have a problem with a lot of black movies. I have a problem with a lot of black movies because I don't think they're very well made. That is my opinion. And because it's my money, it is because it's my time, it's my effort, it's all of that, I'm allowed to have it. Personally, Stephen King, I agree with him. I agree with him. I don't think when it comes to matters of art, I don't think that diversity should matter. I think quality always matters. But of course, you can't say that in today's world. So some of the tweets, of course, they're just hilarious because, like this person who says, white men are 35% of the population. It's not logical they produce 100% of the quality art. That's literally stupid. That's literally stupid. Because no, of course, that would not be quote unquote logical. But blacks are 13% of the population. How many of them realistically are involved in Hollywood? So if we suddenly had an over influx, because what they want, and I can't remember which video I was watching, but they pointed out that if 100% of the people nominated for Oscars were black, or if they were another type of minority or something, if it was all minorities, if they were all women and all minorities, and there were no white men nominated at all, the Oscars would be applauded for being diverse. And it's not even a matter of it lacking diversity this time, because from my understanding, Parasite, which is about a Korean family, is nominated. From my understanding, the woman who played Harriet Tubman is nominated. So it's not as if there aren't quote unquote people of color that aren't nominated. But when you look at the movies and when you look at the movies that came out in 2019, a lot of them were crap. And like this, it's like for me, this whole thing and this whole virtue signaling, because that for me is really more the point. Like I could really care less about people's opinion on the tweet that Stephen King put out. I mean, it's literally, like, for me, it is the assumption that people, especially like with this tweet, where here's a white guy telling another white guy that, well, you've had more advantages and opportunities than a person of color would have. And here's the thing. I'm a quote unquote person of color. I've not been wrongly held back because of my color. Like, I've not been held back because of my color. In today's world, Black people aren't just held back because of their color. I live in the city of Chicago. I drive on these streets. I see these communities. They're not held back because of their color. And it bothers me, this soft bigotry of low expectations. This idea that you have to just give Black people things. You have to give minority things. You have to virtue signal, and you have to tell them, good job, even if what they presented to you is a piece of crap. Because that's literally what it is. They're telling minorities, provide us with subpar work and we will quote unquote champion you and champion your right to be considered a titan. You know, people forget when Will Smith talked about Oscars so white, who didn't complain? Jamie Foxx. Because Jamie Foxx had an Oscar. And as he said, pick better movies. No one is holding people back. And especially in today's world where you have platforms like YouTube, where you have platforms like for creators and things like that, you have Vimeo, where you have the internet and you have all these things. If Black people just in droves wanted to do, movies and like blow things away, like, first of all, the fact that we even care at this point about the Oscars, where it's literally just a way for Hollywood to continue to fillet themselves. Just, it bothers me. Like, the average person does not care what any of these people think, and they don't care about any of these awards. And why do we not care about these awards? Because they don't affect our lives. And the reality is, most of these movies that win, no one saw it, or if you see it, you can't even stand the movie and don't even understand how it won, especially for Best Picture. So I'm hardly concerned, because at this point, why do we even still have the Oscars? And why are we even giving it credence? But like I said, like, for me, it's sort of like that. It's the bigger picture. It's the idea. It's the idea behind it. Like, I love seeing the left eat itself, because I think it's what they deserve. Because you can't set up all these rules where, you really cannot. You can't set up all these rules of identity politics and then not cross that line, because inevitably it's a system that is set up to fail every time. I don't have a problem, and I've said this before, and most people, we don't have a problem, because if it's a great story, and that's the point, if it's a great story, I don't care who's on screen. If you're an actor that can convince me that you were the perfect person for the role, I'm in. you know, and this kind of makes me think of, because I was watching the Nerdrotic Live, and he was going over the Lord of the Rings cast for Amazon. And when I looked at the cast, like the first thing that really kind of stood out, because of course it was a tweet from just some guy, and I totally agree with him. I looked at the cast and I said, what is that black woman doing there? And what is that mixed dude doing there? Because it's Tolkien's world. Like, literally, why would anybody ever expect diversity out of something that was not meant to be based on the world that was created? Like, I don't understand. And I don't understand why I'm supposed to feel flattered where when I read Lord of the Rings, it's very Celtic. It's, it's high fantasy. You can see the influences of what he did. And I'm okay with that. When I watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy, it is still my favorite. It's my favorite trilogies. I mean, at this point, I have watched, because I bought the extended versions, and I love the extended versions, and I will sit there and I will watch all the extended versions. I will watch the appendices. Like, I love this movie trilogy. I don't care that there's not a minority. I don't expect a minority out of it. And so to sit there and see Amazon hire diverse people, and I kind of felt like that too with The Witcher, even though I don't plan to watch The Witcher because I'm not, like, I didn't watch Game of Thrones, and considering what happened in season 8, I'm really glad that I didn't. But I didn't watch Game of Thrones because I couldn't get past season 1, because I don't do sex scenes in movies and things. I just don't. I have a personal problem with that, so I tend to abstain from that sort of content. And it didn't matter to me that in Game of Thrones it got better. So I'm not watching Witcher more for that reason. But I've heard and I've seen clips of it playing, and I've seen black people in it, and I kept thinking, but The Witcher is based in Poland. What are these black people doing there? And this is me as a black woman who's watching these things, and I suppose that's really kind of the crux. These people think that they're doing minorities a favor by, patting us on the heads and saying, here, let's give you something, but you're not doing us a favor. Because when we watch these things and we know that these things did not involve black people, it takes you out of the story. And that's what a lot of these people don't understand. This idea of picking something based on diversity. If it's not good, if you didn't make anyone buy into the world, if you didn't give us a reason to say, man, that story is great, if you only want us to go to the movie because, well, it has a minority cast, like they kept saying for Black Panther, this is a diverse cast, where it literally wasn't, because it was 90% black people, which is not diverse. So it's arbitrary, this idea of diversity in the first place. It's like I'm not really trying to rant, but to a degree I am, because I'm really frustrated at this point by this idea. And, I am someone who says, like, I mean, I say a lot of things, but I'm really kind of frustrated with these people because I am a creator. I do write books. You know, I, everything I love to do involves creativity. And, you know, it bothers me. It bothers me to want to work hard for the things that I accomplish. And then, you know, look at people who say, well, you should take a handout because, well, you don't have the same opportunities as a white person does. Because then that kind of cheapens the hard work that I put in. Because if I did something and I didn't get nominated for an award, that would just tell me I would need to work harder. Because if I wanted that award, if I thought that award was great, what would I do? I would work my butt off. I would look for every opportunity that I could. If I couldn't find an opportunity, I would make my own. Like, that's why I say Black people aren't held down. Black people choose to do the kind of movies that they do. They choose to do raunchy Black comedies. They choose to do movies that involve the Jim Crow era and involve slavery. And they choose to do these things that are great stories overall. But they choose to cheapen themselves because they choose to pigeonhole themselves, because they choose to do what essentially is clickbait in the theater. And that's kind of how I look at it. They're not challenging themselves because they don't have to. Because they can do whatever and they can get patted on the head and be told, you did a great job because, well, the expectation is you don't have to challenge yourself. You should just be grateful for what you're given, for what we give you. And personally, I find that incredibly, not only incredibly insulting, I find that incredibly racist. And that's why I do agree with the whole it's soft bigotry of low expectations, because it is. Nominate minority movies because they're minority movies. They don't have to be good. They just need to be diverse. Someone says, well, but I don't want to nominate a movie just because it's diverse. I want to nominate a movie that is quality. Now, I don't believe that Stephen King said what movies that he nominated, if I remember. I mean, because I haven't really, right. So right. He didn't say what movies he nominated, but he just said I would never consider diversity in matters of art. And people immediately got on him because, well, how dare you not virtue signal? How dare you, who have quote unquote championed leftist causes, now reveal yourself to be a racist? How dare you do that? And at this point, it's just dumb. It's really just dumb. And like, I wish I didn't have to, it's like, it's 2020. I feel like we shouldn't even have to be doing these kind of videos at this point, because that period of time should just literally be over and we should be able to just obliterate it and pretend that it never happened. But it's 2020 and they still just keep wanting to push forward and keep wanting to force people to just engage in this kind of insanity. And it drives me crazy. It drives me crazy. And I've said before, and I'll say it again, I can't wait for this time period to be over, because at this point, I hate the word woke. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it because it's just code for let me be stupid and not think. That's literally all that I think that it is. I don't find it cute. I don't find it attractive. I don't find it flattering. I don't find it anything. Like, I just wish that you would just leave the things that I love alone at this point. Because you're not making it better, and you're certainly not making it better for me because I didn't ask you to do anything. And that's the point. No one's asking these people to do anything. But they want to champion a cause. And that's probably a video I'll do at a later date because I don't want this to be like super long. But they so badly want to champion causes that they will create problems just to do it. And it's like a sickness at this point. It's literally like a sickness at this point. And I just, it's like a sickness at this point. And I almost don't even know what to say at this point because it is just insanity. But even though Stephen King is a crazy leftist, I applaud him for putting it out there that he doesn't consider diversity in matters of art. I don't know how people who have read his books would think otherwise, considering they're always done in Maine, which Maine does not have a ton of Black people there. So, I mean, it's not like he's really living in a diverse place himself. So, anyway, that is all I'm going to say on this subject. I didn't necessarily just want to talk about, the article or just talk about the Stephen King itself. It's just more, for me, it's always the thing around it. It's always that bigotry around it that just, surrounds people, especially creatives, because you look at it in the comics, where people are giving jobs because of arbitrary traits that they have, because of skin color, because of sexual orientation, and they're not being given it because of talent. And it's troublesome and it's worrisome because here I am working on quality. Here I am pushing myself, to improve my work, to improve my storytelling ability, to improve everything that I do, because the success that I gain, I want it to be because I gave my best and I put my all. I never want it to be because I was given something because I just happen to be the right skin tone. And that's kind of like the world that we're living in now, where it's this idea of, well, if you are a woman, you should get more opportunities to do things that you may not be qualified to do because, well, you're a woman and we want to look good. And it's really all it's about. It's all about, well, I want to look good. And it shouldn't be about that. Like, art should just be about the art. It should be about the creation. It shouldn't be about the arbitrary diversity. And that's all I'm going to say on that. I am going to do the, now I'm going to have to redo the one video because I had the unboxing video, which I wasn't planning to do an unboxing video. But like when I got the box for Earthworm Jim, I was just so impressed that I just wanted to be able to like just show it off. So now I have to redo it and make sure that my phone acts right this time. Then I have to do the review for that. And yeah, all the stuff involved in that. So it is going to be coming, because I'm trying to be committed. But anyway, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share, do all of that, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.